Ah, the thrill of the moment when the game changes, the shift in the air, the transformation from being the one playing catch-up to becoming the one in control. You were once on the losing side, but now you hold the board in your hands. The tables have turned and the power is in your grasp. They tried to hold you down. They tried to keep you within the lines, but now you flipped the board and everything has shifted in your favor. They never saw it coming. Did they? The way they underestimated your every move. They thought they had. You pegged. They thought they could keep you in check. But here you are, a force to be reckoned with now. The tables have turned, and they're scrambling to keep up with your newfound energy, your intellect, your resolve. They can't match the fire inside you because they didn't know how it burned, how it grew in the dark places. They couldn't see. They didn't know that you were plotting, waiting for the right moment to flip the board. And now it's too late for them. This is your moment, the moment you've been preparing, for the moment you've been waiting, for every sacrifice, every sleepless night, every tear. It all led to this, and they thought you were weak. They thought you couldn't handle the pressure. But look at you now. Look at the storm you've become. They are left standing in the dust, unable to even comprehend how it all changed, how the world tilted beneath their feet, while you stood firm with your hands gripping the new reality that you've created. You've learned how to play the game, and you've learned how to win. You understand the rules. You understand the lies they told you about what you could or couldn't do. But you're not bound by their expectations anymore. The cage they tried to lock you in, it's shattered. You've become something else, something greater, something that makes them tremble as they watch you take what was once theirs. They thought they had control, but they never did. They only had an illusion of control, because true power, it can't be contained by the rules they set for you. True power is found in the heart of those who are willing to take risks, those who dare to disrupt the status quo, and you are one of them. They thought you were insignificant. They thought you would fade into the background, like so many before you. But you've proved them wrong in the most brutal way possible. With every move you make, you're shattering their perceptions of what you can do. You've taken the chaos they created and turned it into your weapon. You flipped the board and now they're struggling to figure out what comes next. They've never seen anyone like you before. They never understood what you were capable of until now. And by the time they do, it'll be too late. You don't need their approval anymore. You don't need their permission to succeed because you've already proven that you can succeed without them. You don't need their validation to know that you're on the right path. They can keep their doubts, their sneers, their attempts to hold you back because you've seen the truth. You've seen what lies beyond the lies they've fed you. You've seen the power you hold inside you. And now, you are unleashing it on the world. They thought they could trap you with their rules, but the rules they gave you were never your rules. You were never meant to follow their path. You were meant to create your own path. You were meant to be the one who changes the game, not the one who plays by it. But they couldn't understand that. And now they're realizing the mistake they made. They're realizing too late that they misjudged you. They misjudged the way you would rise above the limitations they tried to impose upon you. You've crossed a line that they'll never be able to cross, and now they are left standing at the edge watching you walk away from them and into your destiny. They thought they had the upper hand, but they never understood the strength it would take for you to rise from the ashes of their attempts to keep you down. Now you're standing tall, and they are the ones scrambling to find their footing. You've seen the darkness, you've faced the odds that seemed impossible to overcome, but every time you were knocked down, you rose again stronger than before. You've learned that the key to winning is not in the moments of glory, but in the moments of struggle, in the moments when everything seems lost, And yet you keep moving forward when they think they've broken you, when they think you've given up. That's when you prove them wrong. That's when you flip the board and leave them scrambling to figure out how they lost to someone like you. Now they're the ones chasing shadows, trying to understand how you've gotten so far ahead while they're still stuck in the past, their heads spinning, their hearts racing, but you've already left them behind. You've moved beyond the limitations they set for you. You've embraced the discomfort and the pain that came with the journey. And now you stand tall on the other side of it, all looking down at those who thought they could keep you in line and seeing them struggle to understand how they lost. The victory isn't in the moment when you flip the board, it's in the journey that led you to that moment. It's in the choices you made when no one was watching. It's in the battles you fought when the world told you to give up and you chose to keep going. It's in the sacrifices you made when you had nothing left to give, and still you found a way to push forward. This is what they didn't see. This is what they didn't count on. They only saw the final move the moment you flipped the board. But they never saw the hours of work, the relentless drive, the heart that refused to quit. And that's why they can't keep up. They're too far behind now. They'll never catch up because they are still trapped in the world. They created a world where they believed they could control everything, a world where they thought they could control you, but now they see the truth that you never needed their control, you never needed their limitations, because you were always capable of far more than they ever imagined. And now that you flipped the board, you forced them to see it. So keep moving forward, keep pushing, because the victory is already yours. You've won the battle by simply refusing to play by their rules. You've won the moment you decided to take control of your own destiny, and now they can only watch as you rise higher and higher, as you shatter every expectation they ever had for you, as you show the world that no one can hold you down. No one can keep you from claiming what is rightfully yours, because you flipped the board and they can't keep up. Because they're still locked in their own paradigm, their own limitations, their own small and narrow view of the world. They spent all their energy trying to control you, trying to mold you into something you were never meant to be. But now, they're facing the harsh reality that you were never meant to fit into the box they drew for you. You were always meant to break out. It's a hard pill for them to swallow, isn't it? That moment when they realize that the person they once underestimated, the one they thought would fade into obscurity, has now surpassed them. It's hard for them to admit that they have been outplayed, but let's be honest, they'll never admit it. Ego doesn't let people concede their mistakes, and yet, even as they try to act as if they're unbothered, the truth burns them deep inside. They can't stand the fact that you have what they never had: the vision, the hunger, the fire, to transform what was once a game of survival into a game of conquest. You see, those who play by the rules, those who wait for the right moment, are often caught by surprise when someone like you comes along. People who try to control the game are usually unaware of how it's being played behind the scenes. They don't see the hours of hard work you've put in while they slept, or the quiet determination that fueled every step you took. They didn't know that while they were busy watching the clock tick down, you were silently preparing yourself for your inevitable rise. And when the time came, when you flipped the board, they had no idea how to respond. They're stuck now, stuck in their own pride, stuck in their own fear of failure. They are scrambling to find some way to make sense of your success. They're trying to retrace your steps, trying to figure out how you got ahead. But the truth is, they'll never figure it out. Not because you're some kind of magician, not because you have some magical ability, but because you are willing to do what they want. You are willing to step into the unknown, to make the hard choices, to sacrifice everything for a chance at greatness. They never had the courage to do that. They never had the guts to break free from their comfort zones. And now they are paying the price. But you took risks. You took chances when everyone else was too scared to. You never waited for someone else's permission to move forward. You didn't wait for a signal that it was the right time. You knew deep down that you had to make it happen yourself. That's the difference between you and them. While they waited for opportunities to come to them, you went out and created your own. And now, when the dust settles and they look around, they see you standing at the top, and they can't even begin to comprehend how you got there. This is the power of taking control. This is the power of flipping the board when everyone expects you to be stuck on the losing side. They never thought you would get to this point. They never thought you could be the one to dominate the game. But now, the landscape has changed, and the rules no longer apply to you. You've rewritten the rules. You've rewritten what success looks like, what victory tastes like, and now they are left trying to catch up. But they can't catch up. It's too late for them now. Their efforts to control you, to hold you back, have failed. They can try to analyze what you did. They can try to find the flaw in your strategy, but they will never find it. The reason they can't catch up is because they will always be stuck in the mindset of trying to keep things the same, of trying to maintain the status quo. They don't know how to evolve, how to grow, how to adapt. They are stuck in their past ways, and that's where they will remain. Meanwhile, you've moved forward. You've embraced change. You've learned to adapt, to innovate, and to thrive in the face of adversity. You've learned that success isn't about following a rigid set of rules or playing things safe. It's about being flexible, about knowing when to take a risk, when to move, and when to strike. While they were busy clinging to outdated strategies, you were adapting, evolving, becoming better with every step. That's why you're ahead. That's why they can't keep up. They can't even begin to imagine the kind of mental and emotional strength it took for you to get to this point. They don't know how many times you doubted yourself, how many times you faced setbacks, how many moments you wanted to give up. They don't see the scars that come with fighting your way to the top. They don't see the sacrifices you made, the friendships that were tested, the hours you spent working when others were out partying, or the pain you endured when the world told you to stop. They don't see the price you paid. All they see is the final product, the success that seems to have come out of nowhere. And that's what pisses them off the most, isn't it? That it wasn't handed to you, that you didn't rely on luck, that you didn't need anyone's help to get where you are. But you know better. You know that the only thing that matters is what you do when no one is watching, what you do when the doors are closed, when there's no audience cheering you on. That's where true greatness is born, in the silent hours when it feels like no one cares, when it feels like you're fighting alone. That's when the real warriors are made, when the real champions are forged. And you've been forged in fire. You've been tested, you've been tried, and you've come out stronger than ever before. And that's what they can't keep up with. The fact that you never gave up. The fact that you kept pushing even when the world told you to stop. They can't keep up with your resilience, your drive, your unwavering commitment to succeed. They never understood that success isn't just about winning. It's about the fight. It's about the journey, the struggle, the grit that you put in when no one else is watching. And that's what sets you apart. So now, as you stand in the position of power, as you look around and see them scrambling to figure out how to catch up, just know this: they never will. They can't. Because they're not built for this. They're not built for the grind, for the sacrifice, for the long hours of work. They are built for comfort, for mediocrity, for staying within the lines. But you've broken free from that. You've embraced the pain, the discomfort, the uncertainty, and you've turned it into your greatest weapon. And the truth is, they will never be able to catch up to that. They will never understand how you did it. Because it's not just about what you've achieved, it's about who you've become along the way. You've become someone who isn't afraid to flip the board, to rewrite the rules, to take control of their own fate. You've become someone who knows that the only way to truly succeed is to keep moving forward, no matter what. And that's something they will never be able to replicate. So, as you continue to rise, as you continue to leave them behind in your wake, remember this. You didn't get here by following the path they set. You didn't get here by doing what was expected of you. You got here by flipping the board and showing them that no one can hold you back. No one can keep up with you because you are the one setting the pace. And they'll always be a step behind because they'll be too focused on trying to catch up with your movements, trying to mirror your success, trying to dissect your every choice, instead of realizing the simple truth that they were never meant to walk your path. They can try, they can mimic your actions, they can take notes on the strategies that got you to this point, but it will never be enough because the one thing they cannot replicate is the relentless hunger, the fire in your soul, and the belief that you are unstoppable. They are too busy comparing themselves to you, but the reality is they will never be able to run your race at your pace. They'll get stuck on the idea that if they copy your moves, if they recreate the image of your success, they'll be able to keep up. They'll watch from the sidelines, thinking they can figure out your secret. But the truth is, your success was never about the steps you took, but about the force behind them. It was the vision, the self-discipline, the insane drive to push forward when the world seemed to close its doors. They don't see that. They only see the finish line and the glory, but they don't see the battles you fought to even get close to it. The truth is, they won't catch up because they never fully understood what it took to get to this point. They thought you were just lucky, that the stars aligned perfectly for you, that your rise was a result of external circumstances. They never saw the countless nights you spent working in silence, working with no audience, no applause, no validation. They never understood the sacrifices you made, the things you gave up along the way to create the success you now have. They thought it was all about being in the right place at the right time, but you know better. You know it's about being ready for the opportunity when it comes, and being relentless when others would quit. When you flip the board, when you make that move that shakes everything, they are left with the aftermath of their own complacency. They are left looking at a world they thought they controlled, realizing they never had control to begin with. Their idea of success was linear, predictable, safe. They assumed the way to win was to play it safe, to take the well-trodden path, to work with the status quo. But you shattered that illusion. You didn't follow the path, you forged your own. And now, when they try to follow, they are met with a wilderness they're ill-equipped to navigate. They are lost in a world they never knew existed. They can't keep up because they'll always be trapped in their own narrow thinking, their own inability to think beyond the limitations they imposed on themselves. You've moved far beyond that, and every step you take is an evolution, a step into a reality they never dreamed possible. You have unlocked a new dimension of what it means to rise, and in doing so, you've separated yourself from the herd. It's not just about outpacing them, it's about outgrowing them. They'll never understand how you reach the place you're at because they are still operating from the same flawed mindset that kept them stuck in the first place. They're still playing by the same rules that you've long since thrown away. They'll watch as you continue to soar, and while they try to catch up, they'll realize they can't. They'll try to implement the same strategies, but without the same hunger, without the same dedication, they'll be met with failure at every turn. They'll wonder why their efforts fall short, why the results aren't the same, but they'll never be able to figure it out. The truth they won't see is that it was never about the surface level actions. It was about the energy, the commitment, the refusal to ever stop pushing, no matter how difficult the journey got. You know this truth well. You've been tested in ways they can't fathom, faced challenges that would have crushed them long ago. And instead of crumbling under the pressure, you've only become stronger, more focused, more determined to succeed. Each failure, each setback was just another lesson, another step forward. You didn't see them as obstacles. You saw them as opportunities to grow, to become better. And that's why you're miles ahead of them. That's why they'll always be playing catch up. The reason they'll never catch up to you is that they don't have the same level of understanding that you do. You've developed a mentality of growth and possibility, of constant evolution. For you, success is not a destination, it's a journey, an ongoing process of self-improvement and reinvention. You know that to stay ahead, you must always be learning, always adapting, always evolving. But they are stagnant. They have their ideas about how success should look, and they're unwilling to change their perspective, unwilling to do the hard work that would allow them to grow. They'll always be stuck, anchored in their old way of thinking, trying to keep up, but never quite managing to catch up. As you continue to push forward, they'll start to resent you, not because of your success, but because they will be confronted with the uncomfortable truth that they failed to take the same risks, make the same sacrifices, and commit to the same level of effort that you did. They'll start looking for excuses, blaming their circumstances, blaming others, blaming anything but themselves. They won't be able to handle the reality that the reason they can't keep up is because they simply weren't willing to do what it takes to get there. And while they are stuck in this mindset, you will continue to move forward. You'll keep blazing your own trail, setting new standards for what's possible, pushing boundaries, defining expectations. They will watch you from the sidelines, unable to catch up, and the further you go, the more desperate they will become to understand how you got to where you are. But it will never make sense to them, because they will never be able to grasp the mindset that brought you to this point. You're operating on a different frequency, one that is light years ahead of them. You've outgrown their limitations, their small thinking, their doubts and fears. You've moved beyond the world they know, and you've created something entirely new, something they could never have imagined, and that's why they'll always be behind. Because they're still trapped in the same mental prison that you broke free from. They'll never understand how you escaped, and they'll never be able to replicate your success because they won't have the courage to break free the way you did. You see, the real challenge isn't catching up with you. The real challenge is facing the truth about themselves. The real challenge is realizing that the reason they're stuck, the reason they're still chasing you, is because they never took the leap. They never took the risk. They never believed they could break free from the chains that bind them. And that's why they'll always be a step behind. But you have no limits. You've proven time and time again that you can overcome anything that stands in your way. You've conquered fears that would have paralyzed them. You've faced setbacks that would have broken them. And through it all, you've kept moving forward, kept pushing, kept evolving. And as you continue to climb higher, they'll be left looking up at you, trying to figure out how to catch up, but knowing deep down that they never will. So let them try, let them chase, because the reality is they will never be able to catch up to someone who has already broken free from their limitations. They will never be able to keep up with someone who knows no bounds, who refuses to be held back, and who is committed to rising no matter the cost. You are the one who holds the power now. You are the one who flipped the board, and they will always be trying to catch up to a game they will never understand. In the end, They'll always be a step behind because they are still trapped in their own limitations, unable to break free from the constraints they've placed on themselves. Meanwhile, you continue to evolve, adapt, and rise above it all, carving your own path and setting your own pace. You flipped the board, rewritten the rules, and embraced a mindset of relentless growth and transformation. They'll never catch up because the game you're playing isn't one they're equipped to understand. Keep moving forward because the victory is yours, and they can only watch as you leave them behind.